Hello everyone and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews. I'm Gary.
And I'm Geoff.
And today we're having a look at Dead Space.
Oh yeah.
Which came out in 2008 from EA Games and Visceral Studios. It came out on the PC, Xbox 360, PS3.
Yep. Mission ER529. Status update. Primary mission assets. Isaac Clarke, Kendra Daniels and Zach Hammond. Directive A, locate mining vessel USG Ishimura.
So, now this is a very pretty game. This is, it's set in space, so bonus points off the bat.
Straight away, yeah.
And this is a survival horror game. And I remember when this game came out, it came out into a barren wasteland of survival horror games.
Yeah, it was doing things we hadn't seen before, or not for a long time, really.
Well, it was the fact that survival horror games that we knew at the time had all become sort of action, blasé sort of failures from their predecessors.
Yeah.
You look at, the Silent Hills became action-orientated, the Resident Evils became action-orientated,
yeah,
and then came along Dead Space,
yeah,
which reminds you how to be scared when playing a video game.
Yeah, proper horror again, where you're up against odds that are clearly going to kill you very quickly.
Definitely. I've said this before, but Dead Space is the one video game right now that is screaming out to be made into a movie. And I've said before that there's only one person I could see ever directing the film, and that would be John Carpenter.
Right.
For me, it is The Thing in space.
Yeah, kind of. I suppose it is. I mean, there's a lot of movie influences here, I think you can see, that have gone into creating this game. It's clearly doffing its cap to a few
tell me, Geoff, you can't see Kurt Russell playing Isaac Clarke. I mean, he's about the right age to play this part now.
Yeah, maybe, I suppose, yeah. He's kind of greying, isn't he? What, is he in his late 40s, early 50s?
I think
Isaac?
so, yeah.
And we've got the big, floating, ominous, dead ship in orbit which we're approaching.
It's the Ishimura.
It's the Ishimura, and then the next cliche we have to complete is something goes wrong on our ship, so we're stranded.
Well, of course. So they've realised that there's no life on board, and so they're trying to investigate, and they're going to come in and try and dock, and then of course something does go wrong. If we were listening right now, we could probably tell what's going on, but yeah, we can see just by visually looking at it, shit's hitting the fan.
Yeah, shit hits the fan.
It's almost like a simulator. I mean, we've got Isaac sat right in front of us, and we're not really sure who we're going to be playing in this game right now. You know, from a first time perspective, it's like a simulator roller coaster right now as we get taken in. And I have to say, like I've already said, this game is so cinematic.
Oh yeah, it's definitely taking its cues from the cinema. And that's why it's so entertaining, I think, because there wasn't really any survival horror games that were this cinematic at any point at this time. But then to have them like this cinematic, this beautifully crafted, and with this much like peril, movie style peril. Yeah, it was unprecedented spades of all good stuff. And like you were saying about the third person over the shoulder thing. Like
well, here we are now, third person. Yeah.
You don't really know that you're going to be Isaac until you get to this point, and then he stands up, puts his mining gear on, because that hat stuff there is mining gear.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
You're just an engineer, like, and the Ishimura is a mining ship, a great planet cracker, so he says. But this is one of the things that are now coming up. Is one of the things that I love about this game is there's lots of tiny little innovations in it which make it really special. Now I'm not controlling this; it's doing a little pan around in my face so you get to see me. But those blue bars down my centre of my back there—that's my health. Genius.
Yep, this game has no HUD. No, the interface is all built into Isaac's suit.
Yep.
So we've got the 4 bars of health right there, and there's sort of a semicircle just to the right, and that will highlight how much stasis charge you can also build up.
Yeah.
At the front of the suit, we can't really see it right now, but you can see that there's the light reading that we're seeing projected onto the screen is actually what Isaac's seeing actually on his chest piece.
Yeah.
and that's where he gets all the information, like the schematics of the maps. I also like the fact that like there's no ammo readout in the bottom right corner. All the ammo counters are all projected from the weapons you're wielding when you are armed.
Heads up display on the guns.
And they're not conventional weapons in this game either. They're all forms of mining equipment that Isaac's just sort of converted to use to defend himself.
Again, one of the really unique ideas is, I mean, other than that gun that he's got there, which is
actually a military
machine gun,
it's
pulse rifle.
Yeah.
Other than that gun there, everything else is just makeshift weapons.
Yeah.
Guns that aren't really guns, they're mining tools. And that I thought was really clever because you know, you're not a military badass, you're not coming in, you know, this is Alien, not Aliens.
It is indeed, yeah. I mean, you can look at this because spoilers, this game is filled with aliens. Not the conventional aliens from Giga, but the aliens in this are called the Necromorphs. And they are, it's hard to explain exactly what they are without going into the sequels of this game where the story really picks up what they are.
Yeah.
But for the purposes of this game, it's a creature that when it kills you, it will probably reanimate your body and turn it into another necromorph. And they're called the morphs because their limbs just morph into killing utensils, basically.
Yeah.
Arms, legs, heads. And the only way to cripple the monsters in this game is to actually tear their limbs off.
I can't remember how you stamp.
Stomping is it. I think it was one of the analog sticks pushed in.
That one's pushed in.
I'm not sure. Jeff's at the controls right now.
Yeah.
But I'm
using a controller. I'm not using my mouse and keyboard, which might be a bit slack, but.
So I played this on the 360 when it came out, but we're looking at it right now on the PC, and obviously the graphics do look quite a bit better. You couldn't really tell that this game is now over 5 years old.
Yeah, it really has held up on itself on the PC, isn't it? I mean, the models are not quite as like high polygon count as like say GTA 5 that's just come out, but the textures are high enough detail that it kind of covers it anyway.
Absolutely. Now, the graphics in this game, I think, throughout the whole game are sublime. No matter where you look around whilst you're on board this ship, you always get the feeling that you are trapped on this ship. And the environments and the atmosphere that the game creates is one of absolute dread and suspense and paranoia, because when the lights start to go out and you've just got the flashlight on your gun, it's tense, and the claustrophobic horror moments really do set in.
Yeah, the monsters are genuinely scary. They're not like skulking around. They're running at your face, and
there's the varieties of them.
They want to gouge your head off, you know.
Yeah.
So when they're coming for you, they are coming for you. You got limited time. You got to kill them, or you're going to be killed. So that immediately sort of, you know, adds an element of peril. But what really makes this game stand out is that the way you encounter all those enemies is there's been thought about every single step of that way. You know, they really do like little set pieces designed to shit you up, but they really work.
Absolutely. There hasn't been a game since the Dead Space franchise that's made me physically jump whilst playing a game, up until Alien Isolation. There's the survival horror genre is a failing one. Recently,
well, you decided you were gonna. Oh shit! What's going on?
Well, the lights have gone out.
Went down.
I feel sorry for those people in there.
It doesn't look good, does it? I'm shut out, so whatever is going to happen, I'm going to watch people get
something's scurrying around in the shadows.
Ah, look out! No!
And blood all over the windows.
Yeah, they're not messing around. They're coming for you.
I don't think he even fired off a shot.
They've got those big, like, spidery legs as well. I think that adds to the... I think that adds... Oh shit. I think that adds to the perilous appearance.
Yeah, it's the fact that you have to run away in some scenarios where you just can't stand and fight.
No, they started this off with me having no guns. I've just got to run for the exit.
Yeah, you got to get to the lift. It's right on your back.
Yeah. Oh.
So the music in this game as well, also absolutely fantastic. It cinematic moment. As his limbs come flying off.
See, it's stuff like that. We thought it was over then.
And of course, you get
it's been a while.
the squelchy, gross out sound effects of bodies meeting metal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Crunch. Very satisfying though. Like, so they've got these big spidery limbs, and the cool thing about this game is the secret is shooting off the limbs. You can't. Headshots mean nothing.
Nope, it might disorientate them or confuse them temporarily, but they will just come straight back after you.
Really wish I knew how to stomp. I'm meant to be able to stomp on all of these.
Stomping is like one of Isaac's major features.
Yeah, and I still have not figured it out.
It's also one of the only times that you actually hear Isaac expressing himself in this game.
Yeah.
Because in this game, Isaac is a mute. He doesn't actually say a single word
I know
throughout
he
the
doesn't.
entire game. They decided not to give him a voice,
Yeah.
which was fine because that just added to the atmosphere when I first played this game on myself. It was fine that Isaac didn't speak because it just let me speak for him. Coming back for the sequels, it was much better that they gave him a voice because obviously if you're going to expand on the story and include Isaac,
Yeah.
you need to keep you need to give him a voice. Oh, there we go. We've got the stomp button.
Finally.
Of course, Isaac does also audibly express himself when he's under duress, when he's suffocating, when he's running out of oxygen, or of course when he's dying horribly.
Yeah, he makes lots of horrible screaming noises. So this is my first gun. This is the plasma cutter. Okay, so this is just meant to be for cutting things in as a tool, but I can orientate its like the way it cuts because that's going to be critical in game.
A lot of the weapons have the primary and secondary fire modes.
Yes, and you can switch between them, so using the shoulder button. But I've only got 10 rounds, and that is one thing about this game is proper to horror.
Ammo
survival.
conservation
Yeah.
is necessity.
It
Now,
becomes really important.
it's
Yeah, look at that.
damn blood spraying everywhere.
So,
But you can conserve ammo by steady aiming and actually taking down the Necromorphs by taking off their limbs.
yes.
Of course, you can get stasis later on, which means you can slow down certain Necromorphs, so it would be handy to shoot the ones that are running straight at you with the stasis, and then pick off the other ones. It can get very complicated with the different Necromorphs it's throwing at you at times, so you'll find yourself alternating between what powers you're going to use and what weapons you're going to use for the situation.
It becomes a big juggling match when you've got loads of them running at you, yeah. And I mean, that is like, I mean, it's a bit of a classic horde mode kind of type thing, but you will have those moments where you are stood somewhere and just all of a sudden...
And you're on a timer.
They're coming out the walls, they're coming out the...
out of the vents.
Yeah, they're coming out of everywhere, and they've got one thing on their mind, eating you.
So it's interesting to talk about the upgrade system in this game as well. You can obviously you can upgrade the weapons. You can also upgrade your suits so that you can have more health, that you can have more oxygen and have more stasis and reduce the amount of damage that you take.
Yeah.
But in order to get those upgrades, you've got to farm credits. And credits can be farmed by stomping on defeated Necromorphs or opening different crates or vending machines. And occasionally then you'll also get suit upgrades. And the different suits also, other than looking slightly different and making Isaac look more badass, a few of them actually have different perks as well.
So I need to... So I think this is like your first sort of save point there.
Yeah.
And... once this dialogue's finished, she's going to want me to fix this tram.
Now, that's one of the... If there was to be one criticism I would have to give to Dead Space, and Dead Space 1 in particular, and it's the same problem I have with Alien Isolation, is that here is your mission. It is to go and repair Object A.
Yeah.
But on your way to Object A, the path is blocked. So you must find an alternate path to Object A.
Yeah.
And on your alternate path to Object A,
you
then need to fix something at Object B.
Yeah.
But in order to fix Object B, you've got to go to Object C, D, and E. And once you've done all those, you can go finally to do your main objective.
Yeah.
And that is the thing with Dead Space. It's go over here and pick this up, but can't pick this up until you go and turn the power on. You can't turn the power on until you go and I don't know, turn on communications. You can't turn communications on until you've gone and got the parts. And it just goes on and on and on.
Just like,
so what would have turned a normal, you know, hour and a half, 2 hour story into pretty much a 6 to 8 hour gaming experience is the running around fetch quests, basically.
Yeah, that's it. And it's not just fetch quest, it's looping fetch quests.
It is. But at least all of those fetch quests are punctuated with well-timed jump moments and scare moments, because just when you think you're going over the same territory for like the third or fourth time, all of a sudden, you know, you feel pretty safe. You're like, I've cleared this area, nothing's coming back, and then bang, a vent will explode, or the room will just be punctuated with a gargling, screaming noise, and you'll be looking around everywhere for a monster, and there'll still be nothing, but it's just enough to leave you tense, knowing that the game is playing with you, it's toying with you. Well, that's just the feeling that you get. I mean, just the sound effects in the game alone make you feel uneasy. Just the vibrations of the ship, or just you know, the engines. Everything about it makes it feel alive and makes you feel uneasy.
Yes, and I think like the other thing as well is the cool thing about this game is as the plot progresses, it doesn't lose its peril. Although
there's a lot of plot twists in this game.
Yeah, and one of the things that they do in the plot is they make you kind of doubt Isaac's sanity himself. Okay, so there we go. I got my first stasis module.
Yep.
Now.
And you can see why that would be quite handy with a malfunctioning doorway like this one.
Yep. Becomes ideal. So you can. It becomes really the kind of the means by which a bunch of these puzzles can be completed.
Yeah. So I mean, the gist of the story for this one really is that this was a planet cracker, right? A mining ship.
Yes.
And it was mining something on a planet.
Yeah.
And they found something. They sent people down onto the planet.
Yeah.
They started to go crazy. Some of the people came back onto the ship and they were going crazy. Then other people on the ship started to go crazy. And now we've arrived and the ship is devoid of any life other than these crazy necromorphs.
Well, yeah, we don't know anything about the original survivors. And see, look at this. The lights just went out, and it's totally pitch. The only way you can see is by holding your gun up.
Absolutely, and you'll find yourself walking around with your gun out most of the time.
And there's like these things. These things could just pop at any moment, and one of them could come out and eat you in the face.
I mean, I was so taken with the Dead Space mythology and everything that it was setting up with this game. I was excited when they released a prequel movie. It was an animated film which depicts the events that took place right up until the moment that Isaac arrives at the Ishimura.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic, and it just adds to the universe that it's creating. It was one of those things that as soon as the film finished, you just wanted to go and load Dead Space the game straight up afterwards.
Yeah. And you know, I got a confession to make. I've not like sat down and done number 3 properly.
You've not finished Dead Space 3 yet?
I've not finished Dead Space 3. I've finished Dead Space 1 and 2.
Okay.
And 3 was always one that I was like, well, I'm gonna do it at some point. It's just I don't know why, but for one reason or another, one reason or another, I have not actually got round to doing Dead Space 3. But I mean, the problem I have with that is that the Dead Space 1 and 2, the way that Dead Space 2 finished, I wasn't expecting a sequel, if I'm honest. And it kind of rounds off quite nicely, number 2. And so then I was surprised that there was a number 3. But at the same time, so impressed was I with 1 and 2 that I really want to do number 3. I bought it ages ago. It's in my must-to-do list. So it will get done soon.
I can safely say that Dead Space 3, although it is the weakest of all three games, it did have an interesting element to it, which was the co-op factor. And as you mentioned before about questioning Isaac's sanity, and as we would know by then, there is the marker, which causes everyone to lose their sanity. So Isaac, he is tested. His sanity is tested in this game, and there's a beautiful moment where there's the singing the nursery rhyme, or the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, which just echoes perfectly within the ambience of this game. It comes towards, it's like one of the chilling climaxes towards the game where that song plays out. But in the third game, it was cooperative, and Isaac, and I think it was Carver, who is his co-op partner.
Yeah.
Now, if you're playing it cooperatively, Carver, with the events that are happening in that game, it's the first time he's being tested psychologically. So there's a few interesting points where the player playing Carver is experiencing things and seeing things that the other player will not see as they are playing Isaac.
Clever,
So it was something that I think Kanan Lynch did as well. I mean, they're just nice little things which happen in otherwise not so great a game.
Yeah.
But it was worth noting that they did that, and that was quite exciting. The ending to Dead Space 2 was, yeah, it was a good bookend, but the universe that they had created was so well expanded in the second one. There was a realm of possibilities for what could come next. Whether, I mean, I was curious as to whether Isaac, I was curious to know whether Isaac would actually even be back for the third game, and I was glad that he was, because they managed to bring his story in quite well. And of course, by the time the third game rolls around, Isaac's quite reluctant to even get involved.
Well, yeah.
He's been to that shit twice. He doesn't want to go back, and that is so. There's a real nice attention to character.
I love the way the second one starts. I don't want to
Drops
say
you right in the
more.
shitter.
Yeah, but I love the way the second one starts. You get to the end of the first one, and you think, God, Isaac's been through hell. And then the second one starts, and you're just like, oh God, this is going to go to bad to worse for him.
Definitely.
And then just as you think it can't get much worse, it's really much worse. Oh, that
shouldn't try to walk through there. Yeah.
So is there anything else up here?
But yeah, so and just to conclude what I was saying, I think Dead Space 3 very much so did conclude at the very ending. However, they released a DLC pack for Dead Space 3, which was a continuation of the story, even more so after the events. Obviously, you haven't completed it yet, Geoff, and I'm not sure if everyone else has, but I won't go into spoilers there. But I will say that the DLC is it's worth checking out, just if you're a fan of the story and you want to see what comes next.
Yeah, I probably will get all the DLC if I'm honest.
I can say right now, I am one of Dead Space's biggest fans. I have platinumed, or that is to say, I've unlocked every single achievement on every single Dead Space game.
And that
is to say, I've done every
itself.
single Dead Space game, start to finish, on the hardest difficulty settings, without dying once.
Yeah.
And I can tell you now, I ain't ever doing it again. I have never sweated so much when you've sunk 6 hours straight into a game and you still haven't died yet, and you know that there's a boss around the corner that can insta-kill you.
Yeah. Sweat.
Insane. So I felt the terror of this game to the maximum.
Yeah,
and so
it's definitely props to your achievement though, because to get that platinum where you do it, you got to do it all on hard without dying, and you have what, 2 saves?
I think it was 2 saves for the whole game.
The whole game. So you got to go from beginning to end. You're allowed to save it twice. Not allowed to die. How hard is that?
It was brutally hard, but that came from the familiarity that I got with the game. That I'd played it to the point where I knew what was going to be in the next room. I knew which weapons I was going to need against which monsters, and so it became almost like the Matrix, where you could just see everything for what it really was. But that was my devotion to this game, and the gameplay, the actual way that it feels when you're controlling Isaac, it was so fluid and well done that for me this game felt like it was a love letter made just for me. I enjoy it so much.
I think one of the things I really appreciate about this is, you know how Resident Evil, like some of the premise for Resident Evil being difficult was based on the fact that you couldn't really move that fast.
Yeah.
Whereas in here, I feel like they poised the perfect balance. Like Isaac doesn't move that fast. He's sort of fairly
encumbered in this suit.
Yeah, like this suit. He's not, he's no flipping Olympic sprinter, but you can still move while you aim. It's not like that.
You're not stuck here. Spam that A button. Spam that A button.
Oh my God.
You're surrounded. You're surrounded. Yeah. You've got to move. You've got to use some stasis. Slow him down, Geoff. Slow him down.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. There you go. Take your time. Reload. Don't panic. Don't panic. They're behind you, Geoff, they're behind you!
That's the thing, you can get yourself in a situation like this where you're like, oh my god, they're all coming out for me.
Pinned into a corner,
and then all of a sudden one's behind you, and you're just like, oh,
but you see,
my god.
but once you get over that terror and you've killed them all, you get the satisfying walking around stomping on everything. It's just the perfect drug, if you will, for just getting over that instance.
Yeah, it's brilliant, perfectly well balanced controls, I think, because they give you the right kind of movement where you don't feel like you're being held back by the mechanics of the game. You feel like you're being held back by the realities of the character.
Oh, now there's just one more thing. There's one of those typical things I like to point out in video games, and that is the exploding red canisters.
Yeah.
Of course, they can be used as projectile weapons in this. You will learn the ability for, is it kinesis? Telekinesis? I'm not sure which esis it is.
Yeah,
but basically, you can pick up severed limbs and those red canisters, and you can throw them at enemy packs, and that can cause devastation. You can also impale enemies on walls with their own limbs, which I have to say is immensely satisfying.
Genius.
And on the harder difficulty settings, obviously with ammo conservation, it's absolutely a necessity to master that ability.
I think it becomes into even more in play in 2, because you start out straight away with that telekinesis ability.
That's right, yeah.
And so you can like straight away pick up things like, you know, metal spikes off the floor and just impale things with them.
That's right.
Really brilliant. Yeah. So yeah, that's another example of just a simple mechanic that was innovative and just made this game totally unique. You know, it was really good.
Now there's another huge feature that I want to talk about, and that is dying. Dying in video games. Usually when you die in a video game, it splashes up, game over, the end, you died, you suck, try again, insert coin, press start to continue, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
At least in Dead Space, there are a multitude of ways to die.
You get to
you can be impaled by their spikes. You can be decapitated and have an alien creature's head replace yours and continue to animate your corpse with an alien head.
Brilliant.
You can be blown out into space. You can be vented out into space. You can explode. You can be digested. You can have acid spat on your face. You can be pulled in two by a giant monster. The list just goes on and on. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I actually watched this through like some sort of sadist, but somebody put together a montage of all of the deaths across all of the games that Isaac could possibly endure, and I think that video's over half an hour long. So it just goes to show that you're missing out on content if you survive the entire time, because you miss on all the unique ways that Isaac can die. I think my favorite death is one where you're in space, and it might have been the second one, where after you've been torn limb from limb and you see your hand floating in space and you see the fingers just twitching on their own. It was just absolutely amazing. So if you're a fan of sci-fi and a fan of horror and survival horror, you owe yourself to play the Dead Space games. Especially if you've never played them, you could probably get the trilogy now relatively cheap or as a bundle, and it's definitely worth checking out.
Oh man, I absolutely highly recommend these games. These are some of the most, the top quality survival horror games that you can get on any platform. And as you can see, this is 2008, but it's hardly dated at all, you know. Really, really good fun. It's hard to recommend anything more if you want a space-based horror game other than now Alien Isolation. I think this was the definitive space horror genre game. Yeah,
this first game got it right. It's purely survival horror. The second one, it was a mixture again of the survival horror, but a few more action moments. And then the third game in the series, generally much more of the action, which, going from Isaac's sort of personality at that point, he's not going to be tormented and scared by them anymore. He's ready. He knows what the menace is, and he's good to deal with it. So I think the story and the gameplay and the whole franchise works really well. I'm a little bit worried that we've seen the end of Dead Space now. I don't know whether Visceral Studios are going to be allowed to continue working on Dead Space games. I would love there to be a next generation Dead Space game, but Visceral Studios seems to be quite happy working on absolutely terrible Battlefield games.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to see another Dead Space game, because I think these Dead Space games were fantastic. And for some reason, even though Visceral loves to indulge in movie cliches, it all came together with some fantastic mechanics to make Dead Space really something special. But it doesn't work when they're carrying over into their other products like Battlefield Hardline. It just seems ridiculous, you know. It kind of is, it ruins the game, like the way they do their sort of cheesy cop cliches or whatever. Yeah. And yeah, so nothing else they've done has really impressed me. This just seems to be a bit of an anomaly from the developer. I mean, I had big hopes for Hardline because of Dead Space, but, you know, that hasn't worked out. So, yeah, I think I wouldn't like to risk the idea that Visceral could ruin it, or any other developer. You know, you got a 50-50 chance. But at the moment, Dead Space 1, 2 and 3 stand, and they stand a lofty place in the canon of survival horror. Yeah,
I would give Dead Space 1 an 8 out of 10, Dead Space 2 an 8 out of 10, and Dead Space 3 a 7 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic games, highly rated. I mean, they're almost flawless in every way, but they are absolute favourites for me. Replayability is there. The New Game Plus mode's there for me, especially considering I've done the impossible on these games, and I have the rubber foam hand, which insta-kills every monster and boss with cartoony pew-pew sound effects.
Easy, yeah, good little cheeky sense of humour. I love it.
So I think that's about it from us. Yeah. So I'd just like to say thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for watching. We've got more gaming videos coming up tomorrow on Saturday with Ian and myself, and there should be more Alien Isolation videos next week. Another film review next Thursday, and we'll be back next Friday.
Yeah! More gaming!
Thanks for listening, everyone. Take it easy.
Easy!